Thank you, Stu. Thank you, Jax. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Always excited to be here. Meteoric's got a long history and traditionally has had a shareholder base built almost entirely of retail shareholders like yourself. Now, that's changed over the last few years as institutions have come in because of this discovery. Nevertheless, you still make up about half the register and you're very important to us. We hope to get a few new shareholders today. A little bit about the company. We've been around since 2004. That means that there's been a lot of raises. I've been there since 2018, so there's a lot of stock out there, 2.6 billion. But at 13 cents, that gives us a market cap of 350 odd million. When we made this discovery, our market cap was 10 million and we had $1 million in the bank. So our world has changed, okay? And we've got over $50 million in the bank now. And this, in my opinion, is probably the most exciting mineral development anywhere in the world. And let me explain to you why. The board is pretty much unchanged. 3 PhD geos who are all involved in the discovery, a PhD banker, and Stuart Gale, who has recently become our MD. Stuart's off overseas at the moment looking to cement some relationships in the US and Europe and also in Brazil. What are the rare earths? This is a really important thing because many of you won't know what rare earths are and why they're important. Okay, Donald Trump has, I never thought I'd say something positive about him, but he's put rare earths on the map. Okay, so rare earths are a group of elements. They're not a single element like gold or copper. They're a group of elements and they sit here on the base of the periodic table right here. And there's 17 of them. And as you go across this group, they get less and less. Okay, so there's a lot more lanthanum than there is lutetium. Okay, so each one steps down until you get to lutetium. There's not very much of that at all. And people say, well, the rare earths are not really that rare. And collectively, they are about the same as nickel in the crust or abundance of the rare earths. But we don't use them collectively. We use individual ones, right? We don't use the rare earths collectively. We take out the ones that we want and we use those. And the ones that we want are praseodymium, neodymium, terbium and dysprosium. They are very, very magnetic. How magnetic, right? I hope you can see this, but that is the iron magnet that you played with when you were a kid. The horseshoe magnet, it has, we put a number on everything as scientists, but that's how magnetic it is, 3.5, right? This is a rare earth magnet, 42, about 10 to 15 times stronger for the same weight. So they're much more magnetic. They're quite scary. They can jump from one hand to the other hand if you hold two. They can be quite scary. And big ones are very, very dangerous if you bring them close to some iron. So they have amazing capacity for magnetism. So you can build much smaller magnets in electric motors for the same weight, right? And so they're much more efficient. So if you're buying a Ferrari with an electric engine or a Dyson hairdryer or a wind turbine, or a robot that's going to cook your dinner, all of those are run on boron, neodymium, praseodymium magnets. The terbium, the dysprosium comes in when you want higher temperature magnets. All magnets lose their magnetism under heat. Okay, if you put your iron magnet in a fire and take it out, it won't be a magnet anymore. But the rare earth magnets are heat resistant to a much greater degree than the iron magnets. And if you add terbium and dysprosium, they're even more heat resistant. So they're great for defence applications as well, fighter jets, submarines, missiles. So they're in great demand. And that's why Donald Trump has put them on the market, on the world stage. China controls them. America and Europe and Australia, we all need our own supply chain. This is the biggest rare earth deposit in the world. And this is a globally significant feature. Right, so what is it? It's a giant volcano in the middle of Brazil, just north of Sao Paulo, not in the Amazon, 3 hours drive north of Sao Paulo. And what you're looking at there is a map view of the inside of a volcano, the cone, inside the cone. It's enormous. 35 kilometres north-south, 30 kilometres east-west. And it's about 70 million years old. And the whole top of it is weathered to clay. It has an unusual chemistry and the whole top is weathered to clay. And that's really important for my story. The northern part of that volcano is a town, the town of Poços de Caldas. So it's very hard to go north of our northern tenements here. And we've got a couple up there, but we'll never explore them because they're all inside the town. Okay? So we've concentrated very heavily in the south. And every one of those yellow dots is a drill hole. Every one of the red dots is a diamond drill hole. I think we've drilled about 50,000 metres. We took Australian technology and Australian drill rigs over to Brazil because no one knew how to drill in this clay. Clay's hard and it's not hard, it's very soft. It's sticky though, and it's hard to drill. So we took gold technology from the drilling of the salt lakes in Western Australia over to Brazil. It's called air core drilling, and we've revolutionised the industry. So in the 2 and a bit years that we had it, remember when we picked up this project, it had no resources. We have grown our resource base to 1.6 billion tonnes. That's enormous. That's the size of an iron ore deposit or a coal deposit. If you mine at 5 million tonnes a year, that's 300 years of mining. This is an enormous project. It's going to run for a very long time. You'll see as we grew it, each one of those things is getting larger and larger. And another important criteria here is that the Chinese, there are 2 types of rare earth deposits, and I'll come back to this in a minute, but some are in the hard rock, like MP Materials and Mount Weld, Lynas, but some are in clay. And the Chinese have exploited these clay deposits very successfully. The clay deposits are lower grade, but they're much more amenable to treatment. This is a classic clay deposit. But the Chinese deposits all sit at around 1,000 ppm, so that'll be down here. We're at around 3,500 ppm, and our ore reserve, what we'll mine for the first 20 years, is over 4,000, so 4 times the grade of the Chinese projects. This is a geological freak, it's a unicorn. Okay, there's nothing else like it. The other reason that it's important, and I want to come back to the iron ore deposit, the hard rock deposits, is when you mine a rare earth mineral, you get something like this packet of M&Ms, right? You get a mineral and the rare earths are inside it. Okay, and to get those rare earths, you have to crush it and grind it, right? Just like I'm doing now. So I'm a mine, and I've crushed it and I've ground it, and then I treat it in very strong acid, pH 1. Put your finger in, it's gone, right? Very high temperature, 600-700 degrees. Costs billions of dollars to build these plants. But eventually you get the mixed rare earths out. That's what I'm holding in my hand now. Some of the, 17 different elements, right? But I have to destroy the mineral to get it. Now, in the clay deposits have been sitting there for 70 or 80 million years, and nature has done that work for us. So when we mine, we pick up clay from the surface, and those rare earths, those minerals that held the rare earth packet, the M&M packet, has been destroyed, and now the clay, the elements that we want sit on top of the clay. Clay's 2-dimensional. It's not a 3-dimensional mineral. It's largely a 2-dimensional mineral. There might be 1 or 2 inside the book, but mostly they sit on the outside, and we just wash them off. We really don't use acid. We certainly don't use temperature. So it's a very simple process compared to the hard rock deposits. And that leads to very low cost. It's why we can mine at much lower grade than they can. Very low cost for CapEx, very low cost for OpEx. I've lost my controller. How am I going to drive this thing? So we're just digging a hole in the ground with a digger. There's no drill, there's no blast, there's no grade control. All of the clay is mineralised in a broad sense. Our drilling is about 50 metres by 50 metres. We'll mine it, we'll wash it, we'll extract the rare earths, we'll wash it again, and we'll put the clay back in the ground, and you'll never know that we were there. This is an environmentally... I've never been at a mine that's backfilled the pits. It's just not feasible, generally speaking. We're building a pilot plant now. We've done over 500 hours of testing right here in Sydney at ANSTO, the Australian Nuclear Science Technology Organisation, just south of Sydney. World leaders in rare earth technology. They've piloted our plant for 500 hours. We're building our own, and it looks pretty scabby there, but that's only 3 days in. Our pilot plant in Brazil will be finished within the next month. We'll be producing rare earth on site, and we'll be taking that to our partners so that they can test it and look at the chemistry of it and see how to separate it. Because what you have to remember is at the end, we need to separate these rare earths out of the cup. We want the green ones, we want the yellow ones, we want the red ones, and the others not so important, or important for different applications. Each element has its own price point. We've just finished our PFS, our pre-feasibility study, and we're in the middle of our DFS, and our DFS will report early next year. We're looking at mining 6 million tonnes per annum. Now, our market cap at the moment is 300 mil, and that's pretty good when you started at 10, but our NPV is $1.3 billion, right, based on this study. Our internal rate of return is 31%, and we'll pay back the whole plant, which is going to cost us around 500 million US in 3 years. It's an amazing project. This is getting, I'm a simple geo, right? So I don't know much about finance, but these lines, at the time this graph was made, that was the spot price. This is a US dollar price, and this is the projected price. But this is our cost. This is what we're producing it for. And you can see even at spot, we're making money. No one else is making money at spot. So an amazing project. We're in detailed talks for people to separate the mixed rare earth carbonate. So we'll produce the cup, and then they'll take the cup and they'll pull out the individual elements. We're talking to NEO, who have a plant in Estonia, and I think in Vietnam. Ucore, who've just got money from the Department of Defense in the US and are building plants in Louisiana. We're talking to Metallium, who are right at the cutting edge of science and talking about some really high-tech methods of separation that effectively happen instantaneously. So we're in talks with all of those, and in fact that's why Stuart's overseas at the moment, and we'll be looking to take we already have agreements with all these companies, but we'll be looking to take those agreements into firm offtake. So contract pricing, not market pricing, but just like iron ore is sold on long-term contracts, that's what we'll be looking at. Capital cost, I've already talked about this. The capital cost, including the contingency, I said 500, 440. We think we can bring it in under that. There'll be a debt equity split. We expect to get a lot of that money from governmental sources. We've been in talks with the US government. You would know if you follow the rare earth industry that the US government just put $1 billion into MP Materials. Right? MP Materials is the company in the US that a mine called Mountain Pass, a very famous rare earth mine just on the road between Vegas and LA. I was there only a couple of months ago. It's a good mine, but it's an old mine. It actually runs under the highway between Vegas and LA, and they're running out of ore. But they put $1 billion in, and we're in talks with them. We're in talks with European governments. We're in talks with the Brazilian government. So we expect to get plenty of governmental support because people are looking to divorce themselves from the Chinese supply chain. Everything that I've just told you is about what's happening in the south, but we've got another 560 million tonnes in the north that we haven't even thought about yet. So once we've got the south plant up and running, which should be in production by early 2028, we'll start looking at the northern project. Now this is important because this would double our production capacity, and I'll come back to that again in a moment. But so we've explored about 15% of the ground that we have. We feel that there is more opportunity to continue to consolidate our ground position, and we've already got 200 years of mining. Sorry, it's not advancing. There's a whole bunch of words here. They don't really matter. What matters here is I'm delivering to you the holy trinity of mining. The highest grade, the biggest deposit, with the best recovery in the ionic space. That's it. This is the, if you're a copper fan, this is the Escondida. If you're a uranium fan, this is, Olympic Dam. If you're a gold fan, this is the Witwatersrand. Every class of mineral deposit has one freak. This is it. We don't own 100% of it, but we're well in advance of anyone else who's out there. I just want to come back to why you should buy this stock today. Right? It's not you don't want to trade it. You want to buy this now, straight after this meeting, or even on your phone now. You want to buy this. No, I'm not joking. Okay? You should be a shareholder here. You come to these events to find the one, don't you? This is it. No one else has this scale. No one else is going to be mining in 50 years. No one else has got Donald Trump promoting them to the world market. Right? This is serious stuff. You look at the market cap of MP Materials and what they produce. So their market cap in Aussie dollars, in yellow, 18 billion. What do they produce? 1,500 tonnes of NdPr. You look at the market cap of Lynas. What do they produce? What's their market cap? 16 billion Aussie. What do they produce? About 6,000 tonnes of NdPr. What's our market cap? 300 million Aussie. Right? Everyone thinks, oh, this stock has already run. It's too late. Bullshit. We're just starting. Right? Because that's what we will produce. Now, we won't produce a finished product like they do immediately. So let's cut their market caps in half. Right? It's still a 10-bagger from here. We're in the final phases of our DFS. We're in the final phases of our environmental permitting. And if you buy one stock today, it should be this one. I look forward to hearing from you when you join the register. Thank you very much.